there are a lot of issues associated with estrogen, with too much estrogen, especially if it's not real estrogen, but stuff that just looks like estrogen and the body gets confused. That's maybe an exception to the fragrances. If it's essential oils, true essential oils, they're fine, but most synthetic fragrances, no bueno. Look at the piece of paper it comes with and read everything. And those are not just, theoretical side effects. Those are, it's an androgen, an estrogen. It's estrogenic at the end of it. It's an endocrine disruptor. No matter how you spin it, it's terrible for your health. And a couple of questions from people on social media. Where did you find the EMF blocking blanket? I think we answered it already in the comment, but it's from... Welcome to the Primal Shift podcast. All right, welcome back to part 2 of our non-toxic products episode. Last week we talked about food storage, appliances, clothing, and in this episode we're going to talk about some of the other categories that we identified as being sources of what's called endocrine disrupting chemicals, meaning those are chemicals that mimic the sex hormone estrogen. And that's not a good thing, because that means you get sick over time, you get fat over time, you may be infertile, have birth issues. There are a lot of issues associated with having man boobs. You don't want to have that. I like mine the way they are. There are a lot of issues associated with estrogen, with too much estrogen, especially if it's not real estrogen, but stuff that just looks like estrogen and the body gets confused. So personal care products. Maybe let's talk about that first, because that's one of the main sources, I would say, for most people as far as exposure to environmental toxins is concerned. So anything from lotions, creams, deodorants, shampoo.
The thing with personal care products is the fragrance as well.
The fragrances, I don't want to call it any brand, but Yankee Candle. I mean, those are just, you get the phthalates. I mean, you can smell that crap that's in the air. That's all toxic. It might smell good, but it's highly toxic.
And here I am with my sad face.
No more Yankee Candles.
We absolutely love them.
We used to have, you absolutely love them.
Be honest with your eyes.
I like the smell.
That was 10 years ago, so you can be honest. Yeah. You didn't know what you know now.
No, I did not know. So that's why sometimes I have those tics. I think that all goes back to those candles. I don't know.
We love them.
Anyway, so there are parabens, there are phthalates, there are a ton of those endocrine disruptors that you get from almost anything that has a fragrance. And if you look at the label of your shampoo, if you look at the label of your deodorant, I mean, just the amount of ingredients, most of which you cannot even pronounce, and most of those are endocrine disrupting. And so, no bueno. And so when we started throwing out everything, it was a little bit of a pain in the butt, because it just...
I don't even remember. I mean, with our shampoo and conditioner, I don't remember. I think we started with shea butter brand, and then from there, I started reading more and more and more, and now I'm using something else, and I'm actually very happy with it.
Yeah. So maybe let's talk about some of the swaps that we made. We talked about in the last episode, castile soap is the one that I use for washing hands, washing hair, showering. Everything is, for me, castile soap.
Wait, is it castile bar soap?
Yes. It's from Kirk's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the one that I use. You have a couple of,
we use that one for the kitchen, to wash our hands. It's a bar soap.
But for your hair, you use something else?
For my hair, I use the brand Under Luna.
Mm-hmm.
Isabella, our daughter and I, we absolutely love it. I'm going to use your words. Absolutely love it.
And it's fairly...
No, it is expensive.
It's fairly expensive.
It is expensive. Yeah, and 2 women in the house with long hair. Keep working, baby.
See? Support the podcast. Otherwise, we cannot be buying our fancy conditioner.
There is a few brands that I've been trying a lot of, brands out there. For my hair, I use one that is like a cream that is non-toxic.
And we have
there's no fragrances.
Right. And we have a list that you can download.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
with
better.
all of the
Just
brands
go and
in
check
there.
It out
We link it down below.
I cannot remember from the top of my head.
Download it. It has all the links to all of the brands that we discussed in the last episode, so I don't have to remember anything. Deodorants. I use pretty much tallow-based deodorants now from What's the brand?
This one?
No. Well, that one too. Yeah, that's one of them. Motherfucker. That's one that actually I use. Yes, and then there is a second one.
I'm gonna ring the ones from Isabella because I really like those two brands. Those are the ones that I've been using lately. So these are the brands that we use for our daughter and for me. This is a deodorant in a stick. It's with essential oils. Is with coconut oil. Some magnesium.
That's maybe an exception to the fragrances. If it's essential oils, true essential oils, they're fine. But most synthetic fragrances, no bueno.
It's really good. I mean, we really like it. And what is the brand? What are those?
Meow meow.
Meow meow. Oh, here, meow meow. Meow meow tweet. And I have this one in a tin can, and it's like a cream, and I have to just apply with my finger. And this is the other one. This is in plastic, but Isabella has been using this one. This one we used to get it in
Target, no?
Yeah, Target
Oh,
had.
they used to have it in cardboard.
No, they still do.
Oh, they still
but
do?
I don't know why we maybe didn't find it in the store that we were, and we're like, well, you need one, and so this is in plastic, but this one is the one that we really like.
Yeah, maybe a word on deodorants, because there's an anti-respirant and there's a deodorant. One prevents you from smelling and the other one prevents you from sweating. There is no natural way that is non-toxic that prevents you from sweating, so embrace the sweat.
If you are a woman like me that doesn't like to feel wet under my underarms, what I do is I use my cream and then I dab it with my other deodorant that is in powder that I really like too. You used to use it too. And I kind of like seal it. And that combo
it helps.
is the best so far.
Yeah, I just sweat and,
Well, I'm a lady.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. But, the other nuance of that is, depending on what you eat, if you eat right, you don't stink.
I don't stink. It's just I don't want to feel the wet when I'm working out and stuff, or right now in the summer.
Yeah. But for men, a deodorant prevents you from smelling, but you might still sweat unless you layer up like you do. I've not done this yet, but I sweat them, not just on my armpits, I sweat everywhere. All right, so person care products. From a skin care perspective, we use Young Goose. We use One Skin, and one person said on TikTok, I think, One Skin isn't non-toxic. Well, it is fairly non-toxic, and it's based on my research, based on all the ingredients that I looked at, they are none of a concern, or not a concern whatsoever. In the amounts, there is only one in there that in the amount that it's in there is not a problem whatsoever. But one could argue it might be better to not have this ingredient at all. I agree. But nonetheless, so we use One Skin and Young Goose. Those are fairly, if you're more like into anti-aging and, cellular senescence and stuff, those are two good products. Otherwise, I just use, tallow from Motherfucker Care. I use tallow from, I use lard. That's a good product from, what is the name? Pharaoh is a good skincare brand that uses lard, so it's pig fat basically. That's awesome. Those are some of you can use butter. I think my grandmother used butter for the longest time, and that works too.
Before One Skin, what I was using, it was just making my own lotion. I still do for my body. It's like a body butter. And that I used to put on my face. I didn't have, for the last 5 years, I didn't have any routine because I didn't want to go and do the research, to be honest.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what, this works. I'm done. But now with One Skin, I've noticed in my skin improving, and I'm really enjoying it.
It works. Those things work if you're into anti-aging. One Skin, Young Goose, those are great products to make a difference in your appearance. Pharmaceuticals and hormones. A lot of people ask, well, what are some of the healthier types of medications, like ibuprofen or what is it, Tylenol, because they're all full of dyes and crappy ingredients. And well, the number one tip is don't get sick. If you live a healthy lifestyle, you're not going to get sick very often, and so you probably don't need it. We still have some of it at home just in case. Every so often there is something that might need it. And we found actually for the kids, it's a dye-free acetaminophen. So basically a better version of Tylenol. Now, Tylenol or all of those NSAIDs, all of those non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, as they are called, like ibuprofen and Tylenol, they're all terrible for you,
So
generally
the,
speaking.
the
But
kid, yeah, sorry.
no, but they are, if you need to use it, if you have a valid use case, this one is probably
That's what the kids get, like if they have to be in terrible pain to get, that, their growing pain sometimes can be very, very painful, that they come in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, come on. But it's not often,
Right.
we think back, it's really not something that
No.
we give the kids.
Usually
and they know they have to sometimes have to suck it up,
suck it up, yeah.
Also, there's a really good brand for sore throats. It's a spray, the Beekeepers.
Yeah. And again, you can get all of the brands that we use in the downloadable PDF.
But I want to mention it, like the Beekeepers, something that is a brand that is all yellow, and they get the it's like a candy, but it's honey and
propolis,
and so they get the spray or those menthol things. And recently I found also like but I don't like to give them that because it's sugary and it doesn't really matter. It's like a lollipop, when they have a sore throat. But that also, is not something that I would like to give them often. But that brand, the Beekeepers something,
Secrets, isn't it? Beekeeper Secrets or something like that.
I have to bring it. Yeah, it's Beekeepers Naturals.
Beekeepers Naturals.
So I have the cough syrup, which is pretty full. That means that we've not given them this. I have the immune support propolis, like a throat spray. And we have the soothing, how do you say that?
Lozenges.
Lozenges.
I don't know.
So this is the brand that when they're sick, that's what they get. And I also found the probably personal care, or I don't know, for your
Band-aids, bamboo
band-aids. Yeah, organic bamboo strip bandages.
So less plastic. Let's talk about feminine health for a little bit, like cycle tracking, and the birth control pill obviously is by definition an endocrine disruptor, because it's an estrogenic product at the end of the day that's absolutely terrible.
And you know what?
Huh?
You were lucky to marry me.
Yes, you've never been on birth control, right?
Mm-hmm. We tried for a month or two.
Oh, that's right.
No, like we tried like for 6 months, and I kept forgetting the pill. And even before that, I was, very careful, and I, just birth control was not for me. I think.
Yes,
no.
And this is obviously could be its own episode where we talk about the pros and cons of birth control. Obviously, I'm not saying that you should only have sex to make a baby. I mean, we don't follow that strategy either. But there are ways, reliable ways, that you can do it, naturally. By if you're healthy and if you have a cycle, a consistent cycle, then when you're in your fertile days, right? And your cycle is, within a day or two,
yes,
has been on the dot, right?
Yep. Until recently, because maybe I'm getting older and everything is switching, but yes. I think, this is a topic that, you have to do your own research, this is more than just us talking about it because we are in a solid marriage, and
there are a lot of nuances to it, but just know that the regular birth control pill, just look at the piece of paper it comes with and read everything. And those are not just theoretical side effects. It's an androgen, an estrogen. It's estrogenic at the end of it. It's an endocrine disruptor. No matter how you spin it, it's terrible for your health. And so you need to figure out how you deal with that information.
And many doctors recommended it so you don't have, I don't know, it's something like PCOS. If you have PCOS, they recommend doing birth control or something like that. Or maybe I'm mixing things up, but I think you should do your own research.
Yes.
Like based on everything that we're is going on in your life and your menstrual cycle and everything. I use the ring.
The ultrahuman ring.
The ultrahuman ring is very accurate with my period, when it's coming, and it tells me you're in luteal phase. Now your skin temperature is higher. Okay, like it tracks really well.
Yeah, it obviously goes back to living a healthy lifestyle, so your body works as it's supposed to, and when it does, the period is predictable. Your fertile phase is predictable. If you're all over the place, not so much, but I would say then get that in order, so you have a predictable period, and then you can build on top of that.
And I know that is hard, women. I know it's hard.
I don't, because I'm not a woman.
Exactly. So you cannot have a lot of opinion here.
Okay, last thing, EMF mitigation. Not an environmental toxin per se, but it's still not good for you. There is, again, a lot of back and forth between how bad are EMFs or are they not, especially if they're non-ionizing, which means they don't break molecular bonds, like an X-ray. Is a cell phone really bad? I think humans have had a track record of doing things that later on turn out to be terrible for our health. And EMFs, I believe, are no different. We already know a lot about what EMFs do from cell phone towers, from Wi-Fi routers, and all of those things. So the question is, do you want to take the risk and ignore it, or do you want to try to mitigate or reduce your exposure? I think reduction of exposure is a great way to how do you say that? To hedge your...
What were you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is that it's a good thing. It's a good idea to reduce your exposure and your potential risk if at some point it turns out that we were again wrong, like with lead paint and with nicotine. So that's what we've been doing. And the question is, what can you do? Because, and some people think, well, how can I block the EMFs from my cell phone? How can I block the EMFs from your router? You cannot, because if you put the thing into a Faraday cage, which means a metal cage where no radiation can get in and out, you basically disable the device. It's not working anymore. If you block the EMFs from your cell phone is dead. So you cannot block EMFs in many cases. You need to mitigate them, and there are many ways you can do this.
Stickers for your phone.
There are stickers that disperse the radiation a little bit, so it's less energy dumped into your tissue.
Your blanket.
The blanket that we use. But you know what's the best way to do that? Just turn off the device when you don't need it. Like at night, turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your phone. Don't have your phone on your nightstand, because with EMFs, distance matters.
What about airplane mode?
Airplane mode, I have an adapter for my cell phone. I plug it in when I'm on the desk, and it uses Ethernet, and I can turn the phone into airplane mode but still have connectivity. There are ways that you can do, but the best way, really is the cheapest, is to turn it off when not in use. And distance matters. A Wi-Fi router of your neighbor is less of a problem than the Wi-Fi router in your home. You get more energy dumped into your tissue the closer you are to the source of the radiation. So again, don't worry about the cell phone tower, 2 miles away, if you have your Wi-Fi router on your phone on your head when you make phone calls. So again, we have separate episodes on EMFs and blog posts, so I recommend you check those out if you want to go into the details. But what we do is turn our phone into airplane mode. Turn off the Wi-Fi's that we don't need. We have stickers on our phones. We don't use the AirPods anymore. We use wired headphones. All of the things that you can do to reduce your exposure. You're not going to avoid it entirely. And a couple of questions from people on social media. Where did you find the EMF blocking blanket? I think we answered it already in the comment, but it's from EMF Solutions. We again have, download the non-toxic product list. We have it in there. And how do I know router and phone shielding is legit? Well, that's a very good question. If you buy a product that claims to be blocking or EMFs or neutralizing them, ask for independent lab tests. Has that been tested in a serious laboratory? And if not, then it's probably BS. Most of the products out there are BS. There are some that we use from WaveBlock, for example. They don't claim to block anything because you cannot. It disperses. And there are third-party labs like TÜV Süd that have tested it and have proven that this is actually happening. Another question was, which red light panels do you like? Not necessarily related to EMFs, but we have several. We have one from Heavenly Heat Saunas, we have one from Sunlight, and we have one from Mido Red Light. Those are the ones that we use and like. And with that, we're gonna wrap up episode 2. I hope you got a glimpse into some of the things that we have done. Again, not everything has to be expensive. You don't have to do everything. Just do something a little bit that's better than what you did yesterday, and do it step by step. Identify the low-hanging fruits, tackle those first. Use free swaps if possible, or free techniques like turning off your phone at night instead of worrying about EMF blocking paint and wallpaper and whatnot. Just turn your phone off. It's easier, it's free. Yeah, with that, we're gonna wrap it up. Send this episode to someone who might benefit from it. Until
next time.
next time.